for April 3rd to order. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes?
I'd move to approve the minutes from February 20th.
Can I get a second?
I second.
We have a motion by my friend Mr. Moore, seconded by Dr. Brown. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. New business, comprehensive plan amendment 24-25, Coral Gardens, vacuum station flume. Please.
Hello, my name is Amy Offenbach. For the record, I'm a planner with the Martin County Growth Management Department. This is CPA, or Comprehensive Plan Amendment 24-25, the Coral Gardens Vac Station Future Land Use Map Amendment. The property is owned by Martin County, and the applicant is the Board of County Commissioners. With me, I have Leo Rapetti with Utilities and Solid Waste. This is a small-scale amendment, and this is the first public hearing for the amendment. So the request is to change the future land use on 4.2 acres on a property known as the Coral Gardens Vac Station from institutional recreational to institutional general in order to build a vacuum-based sewer system for approximately 638 homes in the Coral Gardens community. The property is located south of Southeast Pomeroy Street on the northeast corner of Southeast Willoughby Boulevard and Southeast Coral Lakes Way. And it's highlighted here in red on the location map. The adopted future land use map shows the property designated as institutional recreational in green here. And the proposed future land use map would show the property designated as institutional general, colored in teal here. Let me forward to page 8. The amendment complies with 3 out of 4 criteria from section 1.11 of the Comprehensive Growth Management Plan. And the amendment discourages urban sprawl pursuant to all 13 of the criteria required by state statutes, and complies with 8 additional criteria that discourages the proliferation of urban sprawl. And so the amendment is compliant with the amendment is compliant with the Comprehensive Growth Management Plan and consistent with the policies of the general general institutional future land use. And so staff recommends approval.
Thank you.
Does anyone have any questions for staff?
No, sir.
Seeing none, is there any public comment? Seeing none, back to the board. Could I get a motion?
I'd move to approve staff's recommendation for this to be a general institutional land use.
Could I get a second?
I second.
I have a motion by Mr. Moore. I have a second by Dr. Brown. All in favor? Yes, I'm sorry.
We need to mention that the notices were received.
And there are no public comments.
Public notice has been included in the work file.
Okay,
Thank you.
so I have a motion still,
Yes.
and all in favor?
Aye.
It passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Clyde, do you have to sit in for this one? If not, we have Coral Gables vac station rezoning. This is quasi judicial. Does any of my
I
board
no
members have?
communications to divulge.
No,
Dr.
sir.
Brown?
No communication.
And I have none. Okay. Okay, staff, present. Oh, swear it in.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the evidence you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
I do.
So this is the rezoning for the Coral Gardens Vac Station, concurrent with CPA 24-25, just considered. Again, the owner of the property is Martin County, the applicant is the Board of County Commissioners, and this is the first public hearing of 2 required. This request is to change the zoning on 4.2 acres from the PR, Public Recreation, to PS1, Public Service. And again, the location is highlighted in red on the corner of Southeast Willoughby Boulevard and Coral Lakes Way. The 2 zoning districts that implement the institutional general future land use are PS1 and PS2. The PS1 has fewer permitted uses and less intense permitted uses. This is the table 3.11.2 permitted use table. And under these columns, PS1 and PS2, permitted uses are labeled with a P. And as you can see, halfway houses are not permitted in the PS1. Shooting ranges outdoor are not permitted. Salvage yards, yard trash processing, and what have you. So there are subtle differences. These tables 3.12.1 and 3.12.2 are the development standards, and as you can see, they're both the same for both districts. They would have to both maintain 40% open space. The adopted zoning atlas shows the subject designated with the PR district in green. And the proposed zoning atlas would have the subject designated as PS1 in dark blue. And so this amendment is consistent with the Comprehensive Growth Management Plan, and staff recommends approval.
Okay. Do we have any questions for staff?
Just one that I can think of. PS1 allows passive recreational uses on the property, correct?
I believe so.
Yes, sir, that's
Yeah,
correct.
I thought so, but I didn't see it when I read through it, and I just wanted to make sure. Thank you.
You're
Anything
welcome.
else? Okay, do we have any interveners, Ms. Woods?
No interveners, no.
Okay. Do we have any public comment? Seeing none, back to the board.
I'd move for staff's recommendation to designate this property as PS1.
Did I get a second?
I second.
I have a motion by Mr. Moore. I have a second by Dr. Brown.
Mr. Chairman, may
Yes.
I interrupt? I'm sorry, again, Paul Schilling for the record, but we do want to acknowledge that the mailings and work
Yes.
history were turned in as part of the agenda.
Okay.
Yes, that's correct. The proof of public notice and publications have been submitted as Exhibit A, along with my work history.
Thank you. Okay, we still have a motion. We still have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes unanimously. Thank
Very
you.
much.
Thank you.
Now we get the famous Mr. Doolin.
Once in a while, infamous.
No, never. As he does battle. This is NPH 3 Comprehensive Plan Amendment 24-26, Rural Lifestyle Text.
Good evening. My name is Clyde Doolin, Comprehensive Planning Administrator. Thank you for all being here. This is a text amendment to the Comprehensive Growth Management Plan. It does not involve any future land use map amendments proposed. This was initiated by the Board of County Commissioners to make some modifications to the text of the Rural Lifestyle Future Land Use Designation. As you may know, this was adopted a couple of years ago, and the land use designation has been assigned to 3 properties in Martin County, outside the primary urban service district. The text that is in italics here is text from the Comprehensive Growth Management Plan describing the rural lifestyle future land use designation. The text changes are proposing in paren A here that describes the 1,000 contiguous acres that must be adjacent to the primary or the secondary or a freestanding. It shows to strike just the secondary or the freestanding urban service district, and you would still be able to do the rural lifestyle future land use designation adjacent to the primary urban service district with a 1,000 acre minimum property. The next change is in paren B, where the text allows 3,000 contiguous acres to be within 6,000 feet of the primary or a freestanding, and it shows the freestanding stricken, so that you would be only able to do a 3,000 acre rural lifestyle property within 6,000 feet of the primary urban service district. And those are the changes that are shown in this proposed text change. The balance of the text that you see in italics, there's no strike and underline, there's no proposed changes to the rest of the text that deals with any of the other requirements of it. You're still required to do preservation off-site if you're going to exceed density of 1 unit per 20 acres. Still requires all the same off-site perpetual conservation easement, golf cottages, no change, no dormitory changes, nothing like that. Nothing in the rest of this text is proposed for change in this, as shown here in the staff report. I'm going to roll into the latter part of the staff report to discuss our analysis of the secondary urban service district and the freestanding urban service districts. We'll start with the freestanding. We have 4. Gateway, which is off of Cantor Highway and is adjacent to the 3 Lakes, or what is now called the Apogee rural lifestyle property. And the map is the best way to go about this. Here's the Gateway freestanding urban service district in white, where my cursor is. The hatching around it shows a 6,000-foot perimeter. And as you can see, this triangle, somewhat triangular shape, and this shape over here represents the 3 Lakes or Apogee rural lifestyle property. As you can see, it's adjacent to the Gateway. And the change proposed, if rural lifestyle, if you take away this freestanding urban service district as one of the ones that you had to be adjacent to or within 6,000 feet of, it would affect these properties here, these properties here, and these properties here. These properties that are agricultural surrounding the Gateway are all less than 1,000 acres, so they wouldn't be affected. They aren't able to do rural lifestyle now, so if you change this language, they wouldn't be able to do rural lifestyle later. This property here is adjacent to the primary urban service district. So if you make the proposed changes, this property would still be able to do rural lifestyle if they wanted to. It would have no effect on them. It's highly unlikely, in staff's opinion, that anybody in the Ag Ranchette, this brown color, would want to do rural lifestyle because they already can do more density than rural lifestyle allows. And they don't have to do any set-aside. So it's, in our opinion, very unlikely that anybody in this hatched area would seek to do rural lifestyle. And so the proposed change as far as being adjacent to a freestanding urban service district would not have an effect on these property owners.
Aren't they also, they're adjacent to the primary?
This property is, yes. And so you make a good point. If they wanted to do rural lifestyle, they'd be able to do it as being adjacent to the primary. Moving on to the next map and the 7J's property. For those of you who don't know, 7J's is a freestanding urban service district in the Palm City area. This is publicly owned land, and this is publicly owned land in pink. So the adjacency for this would only be the property here to the east side of this property, and this is all part of the Newfield property. So And it's all in preservation as far as Newfield is concerned, so it wouldn't be eligible for rural lifestyle, and they wouldn't want to do so likely anyway.
Clyde, can you go back to the previous page?
Sure.
And talked about the ranch.
Sure.
How, without the Gateway freestanding urban service district, how does the ranch get approved?
The ranch is already approved.
So they would be exempted?
You're getting a little ahead of me. I'm going to circle back around to the existing,
So why don't we wait and let Clyde?
Okay.
I just wanted to,
Any questions we-
I'll try not to dally too long. I just wanted to run through so that everybody understands that the proposed changes that you see in that text are going to have very little effect on most properties in Martin County. And it would not deny most property owners the ability to do so. I want to just touch on the ones where it would have an effect, that proposed text. 7Js, very little effect. The hatching showing the 6,000-foot perimeter would involve these properties, but again, they are ag ranchette, and we see a very low probability that anyone would want to go there for rural lifestyle. I'm going to scroll down to the next one, the Ag Tech and Martin Commerce Park freestanding urban service districts. This is Martin Commerce Park. We didn't have the color change to reflect the fact that it is a freestanding urban service district. And this is the Ag Tech freestanding urban service district. Properties to the east of Martin Commerce Park are all ag ranchette. We considered a very low likelihood, or very little likelihood, that anyone would want to do rural lifestyle here. The properties that would be most likely to be affected by the proposed text change are those that are west of the Martin Commerce Park or south of the Ag Tech property and west of the Ag Tech property. These properties would no longer be able to seek the rural lifestyle future land use designation. This one is adjacent to the south side. This is adjacent on the west side of the Ag Tech, and the same property holding is adjacent on the west side of the Martin Commerce Park. So it would affect these properties and these properties most, and no one else, in terms of freestanding and taking away the freestanding urban service district as an adjacency. In terms of the secondary urban service district, it's only allowed to have the 1,000-acre rural lifestyle version adjacent to the secondary. The 3,000-acre isn't allowed to be within 6,000 feet of the secondary as of now, currently. So in the Palm City, the Tropical Farms, and west of Hobe Sound, we did our analysis, and we found that it would have little or no effect on properties within adjacency to the secondary urban service district. The Tropical Farms, the area of the secondary that's in this light blue and is a secondary urban service district in the Tropical Farms area. The properties to the west of that, to the east of that where my cursor is, already have adjacency to the primary urban service district here, so they're not affected. Properties to the west side of this are, as I said earlier, they are adjacent to the primary urban service district here, so they would not be affected. And this area is outside the 6,000-foot range of the primary, and as I said, these properties do not have that are adjacent to the primary, adjacent to the secondary, are not able to do rural lifestyle at this moment anyway. These properties along this part of the secondary urban service district, it is in Hobe Sound. This is ag ranchette, so we feel there's a low probability anyone would want to seek rural lifestyle there. And this is public land to the south, and so there's no possibility that anyone there would want rural lifestyle, because that's Jonathan Dickinson State Park for the most part. I'm going to scroll back up, and I'm going to try and address your question, Mr. Moyer, because it leads me to something else I want to talk about with the local planning agency. We only proposed a minimum number of text changes, but after consideration, after this item was released and staff has further considered the subject, we feel that there is a problem with regarding the existing properties with a rural lifestyle future land use, which is Three Lakes, the ranch, and the Discovery property. We do not mention how to deal with them or how to address them. And so I think you're right on point with your question. Staff is concerned, and we think that we do need to do some additional text changes to address what is their status, whether it be legally conforming, legally non-conforming, and what would be the way of dealing with any proposed changes that they wanted to make. If they wanted to amend their PUD, if they wanted to, or if they wanted to even expand their existing footprint of rural lifestyle. And so I'm going to leave this screen and go to internally, staff has been discussing adding 2 more pieces of text below the ones that I showed you already. Paren A and Paren B, you've seen, they're in your staff report. This is the same as they read. We're discussing striking the words "and locational criteria" because the additional 2 paragraphs or additional 2 items we would think are needed would be, 1, to address just those existing properties with a rural lifestyle feature land use designation. So it would read, "Be located within unincorporated Martin County and outside the primary urban service district and satisfy one of the following: A, B, or C, having an existing rural lifestyle feature land use designation." That way they would be legally conforming. They wouldn't be losing anything. And another paragraph or another sentence would say, "Be adjacent to a rural lifestyle feature land use to expand a rural lifestyle planned unit development, so existing on the day of this adoption." This this day of adoption would affect, with these 2 paragraphs or these 2 lines, would affect the 3 properties that already have the rural lifestyle and nobody else. And it would protect their rights and hopefully minimize any potential for litigation.
There's language, as I believe, in the rural land use amendment that prohibits rural lifestyle being an addition to already approved rural lifestyle and/or being expanded upon as a border to rural lifestyle. And I think D, I'm uncomfortable with D.
Do you know where that is, Jim?
Well, it at least was said several times that it wouldn't be possible for a landowner to put another rural land use lifestyle amendment contiguous to that and use that as an expansion of the urban service
Yeah,
boundary.
but I don't think that's what Clyde is saying, is it?
Well, this is what D concerns me a great deal. It says, "Be adjacent to a rural lifestyle future land use and expand to a rural lifestyle planned unit development." That could go on forever. And I don't think D is what we mean, certainly not what I would like to endorse.
Well, presently, with no changes, there's nothing to stop an applicant from seeking to expand the rural, the land use designation to a larger area in any of those 3 locations.
If you look at those 3 locations, there's almost no way they can expand. Well, I mean, we got that map that you can
Oh,
put back.
I'm sorry, you're right, I'm on the wrong place. Let me go back to this language just briefly, and then I'll go back to the map. This property holding, actually, that's west of the Discovery property, has adjacency to the primary, so I don't think they would be affected anyway. This property might seek to expand, but these yellow polygons are existing subdivisions like Trailside and Sunlight Ranches, and this is a public land. So the only place this one would be likely to expand potentially would be west, and that would be there. Three Lakes could potentially expand to pick up this land in between the existing Three Lakes property and the Gateway. Presently, I don't see any reason why they wouldn't be able to expand presently, barring the changes that we're discussing here tonight. Mr. Moyer, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think you're referring to the discussion of utilities extending
That's true. I
from the rural lifestyle to some other property.
Yes. And I think that what I'm concerned about is that is probably the largest cost for our county to expand into rural lifestyle. And so if you keep allowing expansion of those urban services through rural lifestyle to more property, we're just sprawling out further and further and further.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Moore, Paul Schilling, Growth Management Director for the record. So the rural lifestyle and the accompanying PUD zoning agreements require that all those costs to facilitate the utilities coming to the site are borne by the property owner. That is not a public entity. That is a cost that's associated with the actual development to bring those utilities.
Capacity is something that we all share. And so that is a cost.
But it's a self-supporting cost that if they're paying for the cost.
They're paying for the infrastructure, they're not paying for the
You
capacity
want to say
cost.
something, Ms. Woods?
I wish Leo was still here, Sarah Woods, County Attorney for the record, but the capacity is paid for by the utilities agreement that are signed. I work on those. It's not free. They pay for that. Their reservation of capacity, they pay for it. And so when you then need to expand, they put that, utilities is an enterprise fund. It isn't dependent on the taxpayers. It pays for itself. It's like the airport, which is also an enterprise fund.
And if anything, Jim, at the end of the day, what this is doing is limiting, which we don't have any limitation now. So I think this is better
It's certainly,
than
I
what
would-
we have
Yeah.
if you're trying to do that.
I'm just not certain why we need to include D. It just seems to, if what we're trying to do is limit an expansion because we allowed freestanding urban service districts to be the measuring stick, that we allowed this, I think, very wrong idea. I just don't see why we need to keep allowing a further expansion of it by allowing contiguous properties to expand ever westward.
But-
We have a fundamental difference that I don't think this was done wrong.
I understand.
So the best part,
go ahead.
we're having a discussion. That's
Well-
fine. You don't have to cut me off.
Well, we have to have a discussion so that everyone can participate, and go ahead. And you have to go through the chair, Rick.
Oh, excuse me. May I have?
Yes, you may.
Okay. My thoughts would be, this was a good idea to preserve land. This is better than what we had before, the rural lifestyle. That's better than we had before. Having a 20-acre ranchette cut up like that is terrible for wildlife. It's terrible for drainage. There's just no good point to it. So if I can take that rural lifestyle and expand it to the piece next to it and put it under the same restrictions, that's a win-win for everybody, for the bees, the bunnies, the water situation, and for the environment all the way around. So I don't know why you wouldn't want to be, I understand we have a fundamental difference. I'm here to preserve as much of the natural flora and fauna as we can. And the best way to do it is under this program, the best one we have today.
I
And I know you
disagree.
disagree, and
Yeah.
so we're not going to go anywhere with that. Do you want to say anything, Dr. Brown?
I know it's probably, but for me being on the board, rural lifestyle, what are we talking about? Just area that can expand, or just a definition of rural lifestyle? Oh. I just,
Big thing.
Loaded question.
that's a loaded question. Okay, just help me so I can.
Sure, I'll be happy to, Dr. Brown. The rural lifestyle feature land use designation was created to, as the language here says, guide development of self-supporting, self-contained rural communities, including affiliated recreational amenities with an emphasis on maintaining and enhancing natural and man-made open space. It allows the same density as the agricultural future land use designation, but it allows them to be clustered and to set aside larger areas for open space, contiguous areas for open space. It also allows, if you do a 1,000-acre minimum adjacent to the primary urban service district or freestanding at the present, to do the clustering of the units at a higher density than 1 unit per 20, but not higher than 1 unit per 5, which is comparable to the ag ranchette, but still ends up being less than the ag ranchette. Because if you do that density increase on that 1,000 acres, you have to set aside 1 acre for every 2 acres someplace else and put it under a perpetual easement that strips the developability of it. It could still be used for agriculture, or it could be used for conservation purposes. So you end up with a lower density, even in that circumstance, than the ag ranchette density of 1 unit per 5 acres. And the intent here is to allow somewhat similar densities to what's already allowed, but to require a PUD that's going to maintain these areas as open space and larger contiguous preserve areas, and at the same time, while allowing these property owners to enjoy a somewhat luxurious and recreational lifestyle. So you're effectively having the same densities and the same number of dwelling units and the same draw in terms of public services as you have with the existing land use designations in this area.
Thank you, sir.
So we're here tonight not to discuss one more time rural lifestyle, but actually because the county commission wants to limit it in some way. They've expressed that. I think this is the minimum amount that it can be limited. So I'm going to say I think it's a good thing, and I think D gives us more protection than we had before. So I'm going to take public comment unless staff wants to add to that, or?
Yes, I did want to add just briefly to that. The existing rural lifestyle language does not limit the expansion of these existing rural lifestyle properties. The language that I think Mr. Moyer was referring to describes the extension of utility services from or through the primary urban service district, the secondary, or freestanding to a specific parcel with a rural lifestyle land use designation and a planned unit development zoning classification shall not serve any other property outside the rural lifestyle future land use designation. So if you are getting water and sewer to the ranch, for instance, you can't go and extend it to these subdivisions outside of it. But you could still ask for a land use map amendment to expand the rural lifestyle future land use and thus extend it to that area with a rural lifestyle. And our concern, adding the additional language that I showed you, adding D, is intended to protect their rights as they have them now and not infringe on those rights. That's the purpose
I
of
understand.
staff recommending the additional text.
All right. So is there any public comment? Did you fill out a green card, sir?
A green card, wow.
Oh,
Back to El Salvador?
no. Wrong board.
I've got, before he starts, can I go back to that other map, the first map? Sure. Where we're looking at Ag Tech.
Okay, Ag Tech first, okay.
Go to up where Ag Tech is.
Oh,
So it's the
Rag
next
Tech
one
is-
down, further, yeah, there you go.
My issue with this is you've got Ag Tech sitting here. We know what that's going to be. Then right next to it, that used to apply, rural lifestyle, I call it royal lifestyle, but the rural lifestyle used to apply here. So we've got the Allapattah right next to it, which is a good natural area. And I look at this, and we're taking away the ability to cluster stuff on here. If we limit that where they can't cluster, and I don't know how familiar any of you are, but this is really good farm ground on the north end, and at the south end, there's a lot of wetlands. It's a really pretty place. And so when we do this, what we're going to end up with, because of its location and being close to ag tech, and we think we know what's going to go there, this is going to be an ideal spot for 20-acre ranchettes. I mean, just a perfect spot, because you're going to have research people that want to have a nice place in the woods, and they want to have 20 acres, and they want to have horses and dogs and cats and all that kind of stuff. And so they're going to have all that stuff there, and we start carving this up into 20-acre ranchettes. That, to me, is such a travesty. And so you've got a piece here that really makes sense to preserve because it's right next to Allapattah. So if we didn't limit it here, and I realize, we can vote one way or the other, and the county commission will ignore us anyhow. But if you could put rural lifestyle over here and preserve the stuff and make it nicer for Allapattah to the south and to the west, it just makes perfect sense. That's where we need to plan. I mean, right now, we're going back to no planning. We're going back to saying 20-acre ranchettes is a good idea. And I don't think you'll find any land planner, conservation-minded land planner, that would tell you 20-acre ranchettes. If we see the growth coming, at least I do, because I live in Stewart West. So it used to be just no problem getting in and out of here, and it's a bear anymore. I would say a bitch, but people told me I couldn't say that. But it's a bear. And so if you make this into 20-acre ranchettes out here, it's just going to be, to me, an environmental, it just makes no sense environmentally. So we're trying to limit, we quote unquote, some people want to be conservationists, and they want to break it up into 20-acre ranchettes. And anybody will tell you, 20-acre ranchettes are just, that's sprawl. To me, that's the worst kind of sprawl. I don't know how many units would be allowed on there, but if you concentrate them right down and put them back on the canal, on the C-23 canal, where you're looking across at apartment buildings, that's a good place for those. And you got a shooting range right over here. So why not do all we can to preserve and connectivity with Allapattah? I mean, connectivity is the buzzword, and it's a real buzzword. Wildlife needs more room for connectivity, and what we're doing is we're killing connectivity.
Mr. Crady.
Yes, for the record, my name is Morris Crady, Senior Partner with Lucido & Associates, and I am here specifically on behalf of Three Lakes Golf Club LLC. If you can go back to that particular graphic.
Sure.
Because I do want to support the inclusion of paragraph D, because there is the real possibility that Three Lakes may apply for, they're not guaranteed anything, but they may apply for a change to the agricultural lands adjacent to them, that's kind of between the Gateway industrial site and their property, just to expand the existing project. It wouldn't be a new project. It would be a PUD amendment and a flume amendment specifically to expand their existing project. So they're not doing what I think you were concerned with, is having a new project leapfrog, after an existing project. So that D gives us the right to at least make that application. It would still be up to you guys and the county staff and the county commission.
Oh, nothing's up to us. Come on.
Well, to review it at least. Thank you.
Thank you, Maureen.
Thank you. Okay. Is there any more questions for staff? Can I get a motion?
I'd move to approve staff's recommendation of these amendments to the rural lifestyle text.
Including A and D? C and D?
I definitely,
Let me get a second, then you can say why you're not in favor of your motion.
no,
Can I get a second?
I second.
I have a motion by Mr. Moore, a second by Mr. Brown. Jim, do you want to say something now?
I think that, protecting us from lawsuits is an important thing to do. It was concernful when I read the text without these languages, especially for the ranch. I predicted trouble, and I'm glad that the staff is thinking about this. I'm a little concerned that this doesn't limit it. I am not in favor of recreational amenities out to the lake. I don't think that's conservation.
You would rather have 20-acre ranchettes out to the lake?
No, I would rather have conservation land.
And we could argue that back and forth, but that's not what this is about.
Yep.
So
So
Unless
my motion stands.
your motion stands.
Can
You
I
want to
ask-
say something, Clay?
Can I ask for clarification on the motion? Does the motion
Motion
include?
includes C and D.
Thank you.
Okay.
It also includes limiting and taking out the piece on the west side of AgTech.
It also, the language as proposed
Would do that.
would not allow this to become rural lifestyle.
That's correct. Okay,
You mentioned noticing.
Notice has been provided in the paper, and we have complied with the notice
see,
requirements.
that's why we need to have an applicant, because they never fail to mention that.
We got it in before the vote.
We did. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes unanimously.
No, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't.
Oh, you're voting against
I
it?
vote against it.
Okay, 3-1 with Mr. Hartman in opposition.
Thank you, members of the LPA.
Thank you.
Do you want to say anything to us?
Lots.
Just, I appreciate that. So for April 17, we have no items, and then that advertising was due today, in fact. And May 1st, we don't have any items as of currently. May 15th, we do have tentative items. So I was trying to get a gauge on,
May 1st and May 15th are fine with me.
okay, thank you,
Same.
Same here.
thank you.
I don't have a clue.
Thank you very much.
If there are no other questions, there are no other comments,
See you in May.
this meeting is adjourned.
Thank you again.